Hi guys, this is my first film review and it's going to be about the new film Suicide Squad. Now I know you may be thinking it's not that new because it's been out for a month, but in that month it's made well over $500 million, and it's amazing that it's getting such bad publicity and hype at the same time. So I just wanted to go through it now. Yeah, first opinions, I watched it and I was engrossed and I wanted to see what they were doing. And instantly I knew it was based on the New 52 version of the comic books. But what's also good is that they kind of missed out the very first few pages of the opening episode of that comic book series. The initiation of the Suicide Squad all coming together and being forced together involves torture, and Deadshot gets heated rat in the bucket, and that they have to scratch through your chest to escape. It was used in Game of Thrones in either season 1 or 2. It's a medieval form of torture, and Deadshot has that happen to him. Harley is strung up and beaten. El Diablo is beaten. So it's quite nice that they kind of avoided that, and we got the introduction, which Amanda Waller says,
I want to assemble a task force of the most dangerous people on the planet.
They're bad guys. Worst of the worst.
I like that scene. I think it was good. I think we're getting an idea of the hierarchy of this world. I like the dynamic between Harley and Deadshot because later on in that series of the New 52, they actually have a relationship and she breaks away from Joker. Although saying that, Joker features in this film, not very much. I feel like he should have been a cameo alone. As many people have been saying, if you take his scenes out, the film still works, which would mean that the only thing he was important for was texting Harley, saying that she was going to be rescued by him, the helicopter scene where he does actually rescue her, and then the very end scene where he finally breaks her out of Belle. Those were the three key scenes he was needed for. Everything else, he wasn't, and it kind of made the film too long. And yeah, and I feel like trying to combine Enchantress and Joker's stories all at the same time just doesn't work. To take Joker, to have, as I say, just have Joker as a standalone character who had his own agenda going on. Again, that could have been a separate standalone film altogether. And yeah, whereas what we got was a cameo of Batman and Bruce Wayne. Really good, again, trying to build the universe, and they've done that. Warner Brothers just stepped in and said, no, we're going to go with this storyline. And I feel like it should have been DC actually that made that decision, because these are based on DC comics. So let DC have some control over what is being shown. Warner Brothers should only step in if it's going to affect the hero's journey timeline. So you have your beginning, the world as it is. There's a call to adventure, which is what we got. We got Enchantress causing havoc in Midway City. So then the heroes, villains in this case, have to step up and go to that other place. And then you've got the crossing into the other place, and you've got the overcoming of something, overcoming of your fears, of your anxieties, of your flaws. And they're all flawed. That's what's so great about this story, I think, is that all the characters in this are flawed in some way. It's kind of clouded, but there are hidden metaphors and messages in this. For example, if you take the fact that they could all be in rehab, it's all to do with rehabilitation. They've got a chip in themselves, so they have to behave. They can't irritate or vex Rick Flag, as he says. But also, if you take the fact that it's all to do with addiction, they're all trying to overcome their addiction. That is their flaw. So you have Harley, who is addicted to Joker. She's addicted to this abusive relationship, and it's very hard for people in those relationships to break away. And I think that's why I'd like to see a sequel where she achieves that. So yeah, that would be fun. And then Deadshot, he's not really suffering addiction, but because eventually he becomes the leader of the Suicide Squad, he is a bit like a drug dealer in that sense, because he has control over his addiction. He kind of follows that trend of, I'm selling you something that will kill you, so his skills as an assassin. But I'm not going to do it myself, because I know, watching you, I know what will happen to me. So he is in control of his addiction. And I think that's why they look to him as a leader, which is great, because he does lead the Suicide Squad. Harley, yeah, as I've said, Killer Croc just eats everything. A bit of a loose cannon, as is Captain Boomerang. El Diablo is an interesting one. El Diablo is kind of that person who can't touch drugs because he knows he will relapse. And it's only at the end that he knows to control or have control over his addiction, which is, setting things on fire. So the metaphors and hidden meanings in this is all about addiction. I think it's really important to stress that because you can look for it. Stories are made up so that there is subtext, and you don't tell the subtext because the audience will fill it in for you. I mean, unless you're bringing it right to the surface, you're saying, right, that's what this story is about. And we didn't get that, and I guess that's why a lot of people feel lost. But you as the audience have to kind of say, right, here's who they are, and here's where they're trying to get to. And then the parts in between are what we fill in. So my final rating is, and I base it on 5 things. Did it have a good story? Yes, but there was too much of it. So that's kind of a half mark. Were the themes, goals, metaphors of this film expressed clearly by the end of the film? Probably not. We don't get a whole real idea of their goals. We got Amanda Waller achieves her goal, I guess, because they defeat Enchantress, which is what she wanted, and they're still under her control, which is what she's wanted from the beginning. So I guess that kind of says yes, but because as there were so many characters in there, we don't get everyone else's goals or understanding, and I guess Deadshot kind of explains it in that bar scene, is that, we're the bad guys. Whenever something goes wrong, we're going to take the stick for it. And as you said, she'll throw them under the bus anyway. So I feel like there's not any real set goal of the film as a whole. So I feel like that's a fault, and that's not going to get a mark. But would I watch it again? Yes. I'd recommend it. I'd go see it with another friend. Definitely. Would I buy the DVD? Yes. And should there be a sequel? Definitely. My rating for this overall is about 3.5 out of 5, which is about standard for what everyone else has been saying. And I agree with everyone else that it's because there was too much in it. They're trying to cram too much in before Justice League. They're trying to build the universe, and they're doing it too quickly, and DC should be involved. So yeah, the 5 faults there, which really bring it down. So the main message from me to Warner Brothers is let DC have control. Let them have free reign over what they want to do. If it affects the hero's story, fine. You can say, right, we need this scene and we don't need that scene. It's the same as this one. That's what you're there for. You're there to shape the story. But let DC have creative control over what is being told. Everyone's saying that Warner Brothers need to slow down, and I understand that, but they're trying to match Marvel because they will have Infinity War coming out in a few years, and they need to get their Justice League done by that time. So they've already got Justice League around the corner, as they have with Wonder Woman. So there's lots they've got to try and make happen all at once. Hopefully Jeff Johns, who is now the creative director of DC, is directing Wonder Woman. So with that round the corner, hopefully it does well. It looks very similar to Captain America, the first Avenger, because it's set in the First World War. Captain America was Second World War, and it's kind of an origin story, and the shield has changed, because it's very different to what we see in Batman vs Superman. So I'm very excited about that. I'm very interested to see how that's going to be handled. And I kind of feel like Jeff Johns should take over from Zack Snyder, assuming it does well. Which, fingers crossed and touch wood, it will. And I think all of you DC fans out there will feel the same. So, yeah. If you like this video, please like and subscribe it. I will do another one in the future at some point. And hopefully see you then.